All of you feel the truth of these statements? I do. That you are sacred and blessed. We will be saying these same affirmations again for our membership for the rest of the month. And for our members, they'll find all these past affirmations that we've been given these past months, and these as well in their membership portal.
So what we'd like to do now is questions that have been submitted to us. And this first question comes from Paul. Paul is in Pennsylvania in the US, and he's saying, I am so confused about the law of attraction, which states that what we give our attention to is vibrationally drawn to us. However, Kryon states that we can heal our body and void things that are inappropriate by talking to ourselves and giving them instructions on what we want done. How do I accomplish this without focusing on what is wrong in my body, particularly when the issue creates discomfort? Can Kryon help me understand how to use my consciousness to heal without attracting more of the condition to me, because now I am focused on it? Please help me resolve this confusion.
Hi, Paul. I'd love to. In answer to your question, I want to clarify what Kryon has actually asked us to do when talking to ourselves, and I think that that's going to clear it up. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's say that you have some pain in your shoulder. The pain is there by itself. You didn't concentrate on anything to create it. It just hurts. So we start with a blank slate. What energy are you going to concentrate on when you talk to yourselves? Listen, it's going to be a pain-free shoulder. That's the energy, not the pain in your shoulder. Here is Kryon's advice on how to talk to your cells. Quote, I love you, cells. I see a pain-free shoulder and a great healing there. Cells, create this peace for me. Dear innate, I am in charge of all things chemical, and I create a pain-free shoulder. Unquote. Those were the instructions from Kryon for your shoulder. Now, where in all of this do you see any concentration or focus on the pain? You don't. Instead, there is a concentration on the lack of it and a great feeling of peace from a pain-free situation. So if you now call upon the rules of the law of attraction, and I hope you will, you'll be attracting a pain-free shoulder. Just because you address an issue that is painful does not mean you bring more pain. In this case, you're clearly focusing on the lack of pain and not the pain. Let me give you the opposite so you can see what I mean. Dear cells in my shoulder, I hurt. There's pain there. I'm miserable. I'm in discomfort. Take it away. I know you can do it. Take away the pain. Take it away. Now, as dysfunctional as this sounds to me, it makes me wince. People do this all the time. We find over and over that it's just habit, that many people tend to think in negative terms first, and they don't even realize it. So, talking to your cells about a pain-free situation does not follow a law of attraction, which then creates more pain. In fact, it's just the opposite. You will attract healing the more you talk to your cells about what a good job they're doing in that pain-free shoulder of yours. This also is the answer to creating good affirmations, which we teach. Never paint a negative picture of a situation in an attempt to create a verbal affirmation around it. The same is with prayer. How do you like this one? Dear God, my friends are going through such horror and their pain and their sorrow. Let me tell you all about it. Here's what I'm asking for. Here's another. Instead of this one, dear God, surround my friends with the love and the light of your presence and let them feel the peace that is there for them. So in these examples, again, apply the laws of attraction for me. What are you doing in the first example compared to the second? In the first one, you're painting a horror picture for God as if God has no idea what's going on. God's in a vacuum for your friends. Yet people do this all the time, never thinking about the energy it creates around them, their friends, or the law of attraction. In the second example, you're concentrating on your friends being in total peace with their situation. That's what you visualize. That's what you're asking for. Paul, since the law of attraction works, I know it does, we know it does, we're always advised to state all things in positive ways. And that's exactly what we'll be attracting to our lives.
I love that answer, Lee. And if I may, I'd like to just also throw to you something that I picked up on when you were saying that, is you were requesting for a pain-free shoulder. And I know that there will be many who are doing affirmations on a regular basis, and they'll probably even say that one step better is to say, I claim a healthy, fully functioning shoulder instead of using pain-free.
Yeah.
What do you say about that?
It's the same. You can we teach that you could visualize it done.
Yeah.
If it's done, it's pain-free.
There might be some that are saying by using pain-free, you're still saying
using the word pain. If you're that, you reframe it to the most benevolent thing you can think of and visualize, and that's what you state.
Yeah, and I notice that often Kryon that is the command, to be pain-free.
Yeah.
But for some, again, it's what works for your consciousness in the best way, where you can visualize what you want as opposed to what you have and you're discomfortable with.
I like the whole question from Paul.
Yeah.
Because it lets us talk about reframing our verbalizations to match what we really want, as opposed to the habit of going right for the negative.
And, we're trained in those habits.
Oh,
so
boy.
It's really about retraining yourself to get out of that habit, and it's almost like projecting yourself into the future and claiming that health.
The next question, it talks about that.
Yeah, so let's do that question quickly now. It comes from George, and George is in California in the US, and says, I love the discussion about innate and how we can learn to communicate with it in regard to healing the body. I'm wondering, is there an equivalent consciousness center that works with our emotions? If the cellular structure in our body can be directed to stave off disease, is there a similar process that can direct resistance to negative emotional energy, or is this also the role of innate?
Well, here we go again. Hi, George. I can't tell you if that is there or what it even is called, where it might be. But I believe it is. I really do. And now George is asking, is there something comparable to the way our consciousness can work with our innate to heal ourselves? And he's asking, is there something for emotions? First and foremost, know this. Consciousness can change the chemistry in our bodies and create wonderful healing. That's the constant teaching of Kryon. You've heard it over and over. And it's not spooky stuff either. The placebo effect, well known in medical science, is the proof. People who believed a pill would cure them, and then it did, later it was revealed that the pill was empty. What happened? Well, it was their pure belief that was needed. That's all that was needed to heal what they had. So, is there something like that for our emotions? Can we change I'll call it the resting point for our emotions? What's normal from always being worrisome and afraid to being peaceful and have a lack of anxiety? I know the answer is yes, since it happened to me. I changed myself from the person I used to be to a much more peaceful and positive person, mainly by practicing certain principles every day. First, I started using my own simple affirmations for my life and who I am. Then I practiced being grateful of life every morning, grateful for everything. It went like this. As I awoke, even from a stressful dream, I made myself stay in bed and tell Spirit how grateful I was for the good things in my life. Then it graduated to even something bigger, to thanking Spirit for all the good things that were coming my way. I firmly believe I was not then training my brain or heart to do anything different. Instead, I was taking away all the negative stuff that had become the habit of my culture and my life. In my youth, I saw everyone around me worry and be concerned. So, naturally, of course, I grew up doing the same thing with my life. That's habit. It's almost programming. Nobody ever told me that my normal countenance or state of mind was designed for peace and wisdom over things I could not control. Spirit designed all of us as magnificent. Worry, fear, negativity change our body chemistry. Ask a doctor. Our bodies were not created to worry, then create disease about that, a disease in our chemistry because we worried. It's not that way at all. It just makes no sense. It's just the opposite. So here's what I think. I think my practicing of gratitude and expecting good things helped me to reset the emotional switch that I was designed to have in my magnificence all along. Yours too. What is it? Where is it? I have no idea. I'd like to think it's maybe something connected to my pineal, a window to my soul. That's just my own idea. I don't know where it is, but I know it worked.
Absolutely, it works. And so let us connect with our pineal and our heart. And the brain is also engaged with that. So I invite you to close your eyes and just allow a disconnection from everything that is going on in your life right now. This is a moment we have right now to be in the stillness, in the peacefulness, in the quiet of our soul, which has a beautiful message it wants to give us, that we are loved and cherished and taken care of. We simply have to relax and disengage the 3D human part and invite the divine part to step forward. And right now we invite the message of Kryon to step forward and come to us now.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We start a series this month, and this is the first week of that series. And we're going to call the series Revealing the Engines of the Human Being. The engines of the human being. Now, this may sound similar to other things we have spoken of, but now we are reframing the idea that human beings may have some esoteric tools or some thinking or some concentrations. And instead, they become engines. Now, here's why. An engine is physical. An engine creates energy that propels you forward. Most of the time, this is the thinking of an engine in a vehicle. And so that is the vision the first time we say an engine. Now, there are certain kinds of things that human beings have naturally that are starting to be revealed, starting to be felt, then starting to be used in this wonderful new energy. If you think suddenly that they are engines, you say, well, I can deal with an engine. What do we fuel it with? You fuel it with several things: intent and allowance. Do you allow your engine to wake up and be functional? And if you do you intend for it to work? Now, these are two different things, but they're both needed. Some will say, well, of course I intend for it to work if I gave allowance for it. Not really. Some give allowance to look at it, examine it, go to school about it, and be a student for life and never use it. You also have to give intent to use it. So let's speak of the first one. Now, there's 4 of these engines,